The Russian Navy's only aircraft carrier, Admiral Kuznetsov, is often in the headlines, not for its combat performance, but because it's constantly undergoing repairs. Whether it's a dry dock explosion, a fire on board, or mechanical breakdowns, the ship has spent more time in dockyards than at sea. But why is this carrier always in trouble? To understand the current state of Russia's lone carrier, we need to go back to the Cold War. The Admiral Kuznetsov was laid down in 1982 during the Soviet era and launched in 1985. It was originally named Riga, then Leonid Brezhnev, then Tbilisi, before finally being commissioned in 1991 as Admiral Floater Sovetskого Soyuza Kuznetsov, or simply Admiral Kuznetsov. It was the Soviet Union's answer to American supercarriers, albeit more limited in design and purpose. Unlike US carriers that focus on power projection with a massive air wing, the Kuznetsov was classified as a heavy aircraft carrying cruiser, intended to operate as part of a broader battle group with missile systems on board. However, the Soviet Union collapsed just months after the carrier entered service. That led to funding cuts, a lack of consistent maintenance, and decades of underinvestment in Russia's Blue Water Navy. For most of its life, Kuznetsov was docked or sent on short missions. The collapse of the USSR left the Russian Navy with a symbolic asset, but not a sustainable one. On paper, the Admiral Kuznetsov was an ambitious design. It displaces over 55,000 tons and carry around 30 to 40 aircraft, including Su-33 fighters and helicopters. Unlike carriers that use catapults to launch aircraft, the Kuznetsov uses a ski jump design, which limits aircraft payload and fuel capacity. The ship also carries a significant number of anti-ship and air defense missiles, giving it the dual role of aircraft carrier and guided missile cruiser. But the ship's design is also a source of many of its problems. For instance, it runs on a steam turbine propulsion system powered by mazut, a thick, black tar-like fuel that causes heavy smoke emissions, earning the ship the nickname the Smoker. Its engines are unreliable and the propulsion system is outdated. Unlike nuclear-powered carriers, Kuznetsov needs regular refueling and is far more maintenance-heavy. In 2016, during its high-profile deployment to Syria, 2 aircraft were lost while trying to land on the carrier. In 2018, the floating dry dock PD-50, which was the largest in Russia and essential for servicing Kuznetsov, sank during maintenance. A crane fell onto the deck of the carrier, causing serious structural damage. Just a year later, a fire broke out on board during further repair work, killing 2 people and injuring over a dozen. In 2022, another fire occurred while the ship was still undergoing repairs. Over the years, the total cost of fixing the carrier has ballooned to billions of rubles, with no clear end in sight. Despite its issues, Admiral Kuznetsov holds symbolic and strategic value for Russia. It's the only carrier in the Russian fleet and represents Russia's status as a global military power. For the Russian government, maintaining the Kuznetsov is partly about prestige and national pride. The carrier is also used as a training platform for naval aviation. Since Russia has no other aircraft carrier, it's the only place pilots can practice carrier-based operations, and it still gives the Russian Navy some ability to project power in distant waters. But the list of cons far outweighs the benefits. First and foremost is its reliability. The Admiral Kuznetsov has a reputation for breaking down almost every time it sails. Its outdated propulsion system, aging infrastructure, and poor maintenance history make it more of a liability than an asset. Second, Russia lacks the industrial base to effectively maintain and modernize the carrier. Sanctions, especially post-2014 and post-2022 have limited access to critical components and technologies. The collapse of the Ukrainian shipbuilding industry, once closely linked to Russian naval manufacturing, also hurt. Additionally, Russia's dry dock capabilities are severely limited. After the sinking of PD-50, the country had no dry dock capable of supporting the Kuznetsov until new infrastructure was built. Third, the cost. Billions have been poured into the ship just to keep it afloat. That's money that could have gone into building new ships, submarines, or missile systems. So what does the future hold for Russia's only carrier? Officially, the Russian Navy says Admiral Kuznetsov will re-enter service in 2025, after extensive repairs and upgrades. But many experts doubt this timeline. Even if it does return, it will still be based on a Cold War-era design, struggling to stay relevant in modern naval warfare, dominated by drones, hypersonic missiles, and advanced carrier strike groups. There have been proposals for new Russian carriers, including a project called Project 2000E Storm, a massive nuclear-powered carrier design. However, that remains on paper. Realistically, the Russian Navy is likely to remain without a true carrier strike capability for the foreseeable future. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.